What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. In this episode I'm going to start taking some parts off of the single overhead cam EJ257. So what's up everyone, I am finally back in the garage. I've decided to start working on the engine. Now to be honest, I'm a little strapped for cash. I've been spending, got some more tattoo work done. I bought a new phone. I bought some audio stuff for the inside of my home. I did even buy the clutch for the set for this thing. So there's the gaskets and water pump and that kind of stuff that I still need to buy. And I'll probably get around to ordering it this week, I hope. But I just figured, well, I'll start taking this thing apart and seeing what might need to be adapted to get things to fit. The power steering pump is kind of what I'm wondering about, whether it's going to interfere with this the coolant crossover pipe that's on top of the engine underneath the intake manifold. I'm going to pull the intake manifold off. I'm going to pull the timing covers off. The water pump's going to need to be changed, so I'm going to pull it off. The valve cover gaskets need to be changed, so I'll pull them off. I kind of want to do a general cleanup of everything. I don't think I need to paint anything, but if I have to do some touch-ups, I will. Yeah, just kind of get things laid out so I know exactly what I need to order this week. So yeah, I'm literally just going to probably start stripping this thing down. I'm thinking of actually doing a time-lapse. I haven't done one for a long time, so I'll set up the camera and kind of buzz things apart, and then we'll talk about it after. gotten this thing down to where I pretty much want it to be. The only things left are the oil pump and the oil pan. I want to put the turbo style oil pan on, and I have a replacement oil pump for this engine that I originally bought, and it had a problem. I had to get it warranted, so I ended up using the pump that was original to the engine that came with these heads. So these are EJ251 heads, single overhead cam, very good high flowing head, and I did a little porting job to them. I kind of cleaned them up, did a recondition, lapped the valves, new valve seals. So the heads are in really good shape. Cam seals don't appear to be leaking at all, and the only thing I was checking was my power steering pump. So this is the power steering pump and bracket from the WRX. It's actually a little bit smaller body, I would say, than the pump that was originally had on this engine. And the only thing I'm worried about is this coolant crossover pipe and possibly my little pickup for my oil pressure for the turbo. But when I get this sitting in here to where it's pretty much going to mount, there's plenty of clearance for everything to work. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue of I might have to reroute this return hose over to the coolant reservoir a little bit, but that's not a big deal at all. It looks like it's going to work fine. Well, at least I managed to get this much done. So really the next thing is just ordering parts and waiting for them to come. Really, there isn't going to be a whole lot to do here. I see a little bit of oil residue from my jerry-rigged oil feed for the turbo. So I might have to do something with that, but the oil pump bracket sits in there nice. As long as I use the same intake manifold, everything should line up okay. So mocking up the exhaust and how the turbo is going to fit with that, with the turbo style manifold and up pipe, I know it's going to be so close. So that's something I'm going to have to figure out sooner than later anyway. Now, as for a lot of the parts that are coming off of this thing that are still really good shape, like the water pump doesn't have any mileage on it, the oil pan's nice and clean, even the clutch that was on this thing, like the flywheel and pressure plate, I have a new disc. All that stuff will eventually go onto the Forester. When I pull in the Forester to pull the engine out of it and clean it up, a lot of that stuff will make it onto that motor. And that's just going to save me a little bit of coin then, kind of thinking into the future. But obviously I've made a big mess again, and probably going to have to do a little bit of cleanup before I can start cleaning parts and getting parts on order so I can put this thing together. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.